Hello, Internet. Welcome to Only Kind of Everything. And main event Jay Uso is in your city. And you get excited. But that's all there is to it. Yeah, guys, we are diving into what I believe to be one of Triple H's biggest failures, if you will, of him running creative so far. And there's been a couple that I would kind of point to, but this one specifically really irks me. If you go back to the beginning of the Bloodline, when Roman came back and Jay Uso was feuding with Roman and kind of got dubbed main event Jay Uso during all this thing, because he was starting to main event. You know, he was at the time proving, hey, I'm not just a tag team guy. And then his brother Jimmy came back in the tag team reign and the Bloodline and the Megazord and the Sami Zayns and all that stuff. But we are now well and truly away from the idea of Jay Uso being a tag team wrestler. Now, I want to preference all this by saying I do remember reading somewhere, hearing somewhere, that Jay does kind of want to be a tag team again. So, asterisk all this. But I digress. From a fan perspective, just what's presented to us. This entire run, if you will, as main event singles Jay Uso has just not materialized to anything. He's challenged a couple times for a couple singles belts. But that's really it. What I would say the biggest success the main event Jay Uso has had was when he won the tag team titles with Cody Rhodes and the Yeet and all that was born. But that's it. And it feels like a disservice if you look at how good Jay Uso was and I'm not saying he's declined in skill or ability, but if you look at where he has been and where he is, man, I feel like Jay Uso should have won some form of singles gold by now, be it the Intercontinental, the United States. He challenged for the World Heavyweight title. Technically he's challenged for the WWE title / Universal. Dude has challenged for, outside of NXT, I think every major singles gold he can. And the Intercontinental, I'm pretty sure that during most of that time, Gunther had the title. And as I record this, they're gearing up for the Intercontinental Tournament to determine the number one contender to challenge Braun Breaker. But even then, I don't see him winning that. Granted, I feel like the next step for Jay Uso, same with Sami, is going to be reuniting with Roman to take on Solo Sikoa and the Bloodline 2.0. But that does not excuse the fact that for the last year, give or take, that Jay Uso has just kind of been spinning his wheels. He's had good matches. He has a level of connection with the fans that there are guys that would pay to have his level of connection with. And it's just nothing's happening, It's so weird that you have somebody as over as Jay Uso. And let's kind of go back and look at some of this, If you go back and think, even as early as the Roman Reigns versus Jay Uso at the beginning of the Bloodline, like we're talking, first couple defenses, and Jay was in that I Quit match with Roman, and people actually believed then that Jay Uso had the potential to be a main eventer. Now, that was a different time. That was the pandemic COVID era of WWE. But I digress. Even though it was the COVID era and this, Thunderdome empty arena garbage, people were still behind him. And that has translated to today even. If you go further in, Jay was integral in Sami Zayn and how over he got with the bloodline. Yes, Jimmy and Sami had the handshake and all that, but it was Jay who was originally opposed to Sami and the bloodline. It was Jay that made the struggle of Sami getting accepted into the bloodline that much bigger when he did. And it made all the better when Sami turned on the bloodline and Jay couldn't. He was like, man, no, Sami's Sami's family now. He's done this for me. Jay has proven he has the ability to work at the top. But for whatever reason, and I get there are, longer term stories, but Jay Uso has never been rewarded, at least on screen, for his ability. Again, I'm not going to talk about the backstage side of it too much because there's probably things he has gotten as compensation for his role in the bloodline, for how over he has gotten. Obviously, he's getting more money. I can probably guarantee you that. But he's, from a literal just fan watching perspective, what has Jay Uso gotten? Well, he's gotten opportunities to challenge for various world titles, but none of those world title challenges, be it Intercontinental, WWE, however you want to look at it, none of them have amounted to him winning. And I really do. Not only do I think that that's kind of a shame, I do think that's detrimental, maybe not to the whole process, but as a fan, it makes you look and go, man, as over as Jay Uso is, how much more over does he need to get to get those titles, to start racking in those important wins, not just the various wins on SmackDown or Raw or wherever, but he's not reining in the titles. And I think that's where the concern is when you look at a multi-time tag team champion who's not winning singles. Ever since the bloodline broke up, Jay Uso has really only had one really, truly feud of his own, and that was against Jimmy Uso, leading into WrestleMania 40. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, and I'm willing to be wrong. I can't think of any major story that Jay Uso has been a part of outside of that. He left the bloodline. He went to Raw. He had kind of his redemption arc, if you will, but I feel like that story was more about turning Drew McIntyre heel than it was Jay Uso, although it helped him get over. But that was also kind of a biding your time till he challenged Jimmy Uso type of story. Then WrestleMania hit, and nothing really happened after. He's feuded with, I don't even want to say he's feuded with. He's challenged for a couple titles. I know he challenged Damian Priest. I remember even going to a live show WWE show, and the dark match was Jay Uso versus Gunther. And I mean, it was great. It was during Gunther's Intercontinental Championship reigns was actually before Mania 41. Mania 40, where Gunther lost the belt to Sammy. But it's just weird that I can't think of any major feuds that Jay Uso has been a part of where he was one of the primary guys. He's been a part of stuff, again, just like this Sami Zayn. He's been there supporting Sammy a lot. Hey, we're going to get this done. We're going to get this tag titles all. And now Sammy's gone, and now I'm going to challenge for the Intercontinental title. I really feel like this is all just... Jay Uso is a big part of other stories, which isn't a bad thing, but I wouldn't say it's a good thing, because outside of those big stories, he just spins his wheels. He doesn't do anything. I think that's detrimental to Jay Uso, because once this Bloodline versus Bloodline 2.0 ends, where does Jay Uso go? Does he go back to tag teaming with Jimmy? I mean, maybe, but I don't think the tag team division needs the Usos anymore. Not that one more run wouldn't be bad, but I feel like we need more time with them being separate. Jimmy has been out since Mania. A little after Mania, when Solo debuted Tama Tonga, and they went that route and booted him out, and he was written off due to injury. But Jay Uso really, I think he needs something else, and I get it. I guess I kind of get it, maybe, if you're just not wanting to put him into a story because, he's a big piece in this Bloodline feud. But Solo Sikoa was doing things outside of it. And Sami Zayn, who I truly believe is going to be part of that, he was doing things. Jay Uso just seems to kind of have always been there. And as somebody who, I have said it in private, I don't think I've said it in any videos. When Jay Uso originally split, I was very hesitant about the main event Jay Uso character. I really did not think it would get over. At least, especially get over to the level that he has, where you could have this conversation and say, how and or why has Jay Uso not won any kind of major singles title yet? So I do hope that post this Bloodline 2.0 versus Bloodline Civil War, that I think is really going to probably happen at War Games in November, Survivor Series War Games. I just kind of think that Triple H and WWE really need to come up with the next step for developing main event Jay Uso as somebody who can hold this, not just hold the singles title, but be seen as a credible singles guy going forward, where he's winning matches and he's getting the job done. But guys, that's all I have on this subject. I know it's been a bit rambly, but it's something that's been on my mind for a minute. Let me know what you think. Am I completely off the mark and Jay Uso is right where he should be? Or do I have a point? Is there something that you could maybe add? Is there maybe a feud that I forgot that he's done between the breakup and now that I haven't talked about? But guys, don't forget to leave a comment, like, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and I will see all of you in the next video. Bye!